Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to be here with you guys. Today, we're going to talk about the AP program, what it means, how it fits into the larger context of the Smart Building Collective and everything we're working on. Um, as you all know, uh, we don't have to go too deep into it, but founded in science, refined in practice, constantly optimized by our network of experts. And I have to say that our assessor community is a huge part of this process. The assessors from the beginning have been giving us feedback on what to change, what to alter, and together as a community, we're learning more and more about smart buildings. So it's exciting to be here with two assessors. I'm going to introduce them in a minute, and we're going to bring them on stage to talk about their experience. But we're going to just give you a couple slides of information about the AP program and how it fits into the bigger picture of what we're trying to do. So, as you all know, the Smart Building Collective is all about helping people and organizations navigate and change the relationship between humans and buildings through data and technology. And it's for the improvement of the environment, people's lives, efficiencies, and economic results. We did an event just a week ago about why certify. Why would you certify your building? And it was so interesting to hear Martin and both Anders and Martin say they didn't go into building a smart building as the goal. They actually went to go build the best building they possibly could, and smart ended up being a result of that. And I think that's a really important piece, is that we're not certifying buildings for the sake of certification. We're not building smart buildings for the sake of smart. We're trying to make the best buildings and change real estate for the better. So the AP program is really, it's unique. It's unique in that it's a peer review model. So for every building we certify, we have 3 independent assessors that help us look at that building. And we certify buildings for two sides of things. We have a quantitative, black and white, you either have it or you don't aspect. But there's a whole lot of qualitative happening in buildings that is so important. The governance, it's different for every single building. The process, the business case, the integrative design, how they actually put it together, the level of maturity of smart, these types of things. And these assessors are really looking at that. They're a spider in the web. They're supporting one another. They're supporting our partners, prop tech community, university researchers. Assessors are experts in smart building, walking around the smart building community. So you can tap them for support on your project, and you can learn from them based on all of the expertise that they've built up over the years. We want to work with you in a way that you want to work. So we want to incubate real estate careers of the future. And really, some want to assess buildings, some want to consult on buildings. The most beautiful thing that's happened with our assessor community, the first cohort, is a number of those people are part of the core team now. They've actually said, hey, I want to do more and I want to be part of this. So that's really, really encouraging. And it's being part of a dynamic global team. Smart building is new. It's being learned across the board. This team is forefront, trying to put their finger on what it is. And they're in a unique position because they get to see a lot of buildings and see a lot of things at the same time. So the assessor program, if you are an assessor with us and you assess buildings, we don't expect you to assess buildings for free. This is a paid role. For every building that you assess, you get paid for this. You can get commissions as well by bringing partners and buildings into the ecosystem. This is a big part of how we grow and how we continue to evolve the ecosystem. But we know that takes time and it takes energy and it takes yourself, your personal brand, putting that as a part of the community. So you definitely should be compensated for that work. We see space to grow. So, like I just said, it's not only about assessing buildings, but it's about accessing other opportunities in the ecosystem and really working with dynamic partners and buildings and research institutions to do more. And that's really what we encourage. It's a place to learn from your peers as well as SBC Research and Academy. So the AP program, as much as it is a training program, it's actually much more than that. It's being part of a community and really working together to sink our teeth into really important topics and really important projects. And again, you're becoming part of a global team of real estate professionals. The assessors that you'll hear from today, they come from different parts of the world. They also come from different walks of life. They both work in smart buildings, but they work in a different way. And it's interesting to see those different ideas be bounced back and forth with each other. So there's a lot of value in that community aspect. Training wise, from the beginning, we really look at creating better real estate first, right? The training is all about health and wellness, human performance and efficiencies, sustainability and ESG, looking at it holistically, finance and ROI of smart buildings, governance and leadership. How do you actually organize yourself to get the most out of your smart building? That's really, where this starts. How do we build a better building? And then we look at, okay, how do you technically make that happen? And that's really where we dive into the framework and the methodology and what the Smart Building Collective training is all. It's about our framework of infrastructure and connectivity, building usage, how is the asset actually being utilized, building performance, talking about sustainability and energy consumption and water, these types of things. Building environment, making sure that we're focusing on air quality, light, sound, these types of things. Integrative design, that's really interesting, right? We have different, we've done a lot of buildings, and some of them do with 6 technologies, some of them do it with 30 technologies. And how do we, with the least amount of technology, master all of the things that we're trying to do? So we encourage you all to join us. We have online course that you will go through, but it's a blended course. So it's peer discussions. There's hybrid meetings that are a part of this. And once you're part of the Assessor program and you've been certified, you become part of the ecosystem. So you have access to our SBC online, where you'll find all of our partners and our buildings and solutions. You'll be able to find projects and things to sink your teeth into. And we encourage you to come join us. And I'm excited now to, I could talk to you a little bit about pricing just because it's here. It's $12.50 to be a part of it, but then you're part of the community, right? So it's not only about that training, it's about assessing buildings, it's about working with each other, it's about being part of something quite big. And then you're getting paid for every project. So within 4 assessments, you're already paid off your investment. So that's encouraging. You get to share expertise during our events. You can be part of things like today, participate in SBC online. You have the ability to share articles and your expertise with buildings and with solutions. Appear in case studies and join our think tanks. So these are all at your disposal and ready for you. But today, I wanted to give you a bit of context about the program, and you can register to become part of the Academy on smartbuildingcollective.com. There's a spot there to register. We'll put the link in the comments as well. But I'd like to start off today and talk to 2 of our assessors who, let's learn from them about what they've experienced over the last almost 3 years, 2 years. Paul Bumber is a smart building consultant. He's building smart buildings in Manchester, and he's working hard to perfect the smart building. And Dirk Hein is operating smart buildings. So actually, from 2 different angles, we're going to get to talk to these guys about smart buildings first and foremost, and then maybe get some ideas and thoughts about their experience with the Assessor program. Paul, nice to have you here and joining us from Manchester. Do you want to give everybody first a little bit of an introduction into you first?
Yeah, sure. So I've worked in property for about 25 years, working for owners, occupiers, investors, developers along the way. For a few years, I did finance, and then I saw the light and moved into IT and technology. So I've led technology teams for property companies for probably 20 years. The past 4 years, I then really started to get interested in smart buildings because at the time, the property company I worked with owned about 7 million square feet, predominantly in the UK, well, all in the UK. So I could just really start to see the value initially in digital twins. That was what kind of got me interested in technology and in data and around operational efficiency for commercial real estate. And then, like anything, you start to mix in different circles, and you're networking with different types of people. And then that's when smart buildings really started to sink in and what it could be and what the impact could be. The funny thing was that at the time the company I was working with weren't asking for a smart building strategy. It was me that was kind of taking it to them, and I think that's kind of half the problem we see now when you fast forward 4 or 5 years. The stakeholders probably aren't asking the right questions yet, although certain things are changing in the market, and that's been probably addressed a little bit more than it was. Yeah, and then I found you guys, I don't know how long ago, 2 years, 2.5 years ago. And like I say, and then becoming part of your assessor community has just been brilliant for me, not only giving me validation in a better understanding of where I fit in the smart building market, but it also just reminded me that this is new. We're at the start of a really interesting journey, because I half expected to peel back the can and find a really busy community, loads of people, exemplars doing everything, but it's just not the case. We are at the beginning, I think, of a really interesting journey, and that's why I think I would encourage people to join the community, the Smart Building Collective, and be part of what I think is something really special.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, right? Because we're seeing the same thing from academic research, right? We're diving into kind of peeling back, what has been published and what is there from a research perspective. And it's the same thing, right? You would open it up and you'd expect all of that to already exist, and it just doesn't exist yet. And it begs it's this journey that we're on that becomes really quite exciting.
I remember an early meeting. I went to a presentation in London and saw the guys from Edge, and I know obviously you have a background for that, and that quite quickly became the boring example everybody used of an exemplar smart building. And then that's what got me looking more in the market, and there was very little other than that, which was why everybody used it as an example. And now everybody rolls their eyes if you even dare mention it. But I think that positioned itself really well and positioned what you could do and made everything else just look really dumb.
Yeah,
But there wasn't really a lot of other great exemplar examples.
yeah, yeah. So tell everybody kind of what does the day in the life of an assessor look like? What have you gotten out of it, and what's the good, the bad? Yeah.
Well, I suppose we have a different journey being part of cohort one, because we caught up with you. There was probably 12 of us, 13 of us. And we caught up with you when you probably had 80% of a methodology. So our day to day was probably a little bit different in those early days, because we were almost helping you as so-called experts or subject matter experts in the fields that we all operate in, almost helping you craft a methodology, and I think that was a really great vulnerable place for us to be in, certainly, because like I said before, it gave me validation that, or gave me a better understanding of where I fitted in everything, because this was brand new and actually there weren't very many, if any, certifications in the market. So those early months were difficult, but very rewarding looking back. And I think as soon as you do your first building, then it all really starts to make sense, because we work through every single question you asked as part of the assessment, but the information or the intelligence you get as an assessor, it's about the qualitative feedback, isn't it? We're there to interpret the words. It's not the quantitative stuff. How many of this have you got? Have you got something that measures air quality, etc.? So I think that's really interesting. But the best part of, I suppose, being or doing that peer review model, which I think just works so well, is you're one of three. So it's just not what I say. And I know we spoke this morning, Nicholas. I have shallow knowledge across a variety of different areas, and some people have a deep level of knowledge in one area. And I suppose it's just the coming together of that. I think that's why the peer review model works. But it was fascinating on many levels, because not only are you exposed to smart buildings globally, but you also get a level of detail which satisfies. At the end of the day, you're not going to become a smart building assessor if you don't like technology and you don't like understanding how going through that certification is going to end up with a smarter building. And a smart building means different things to different people. But for me, a smart building meets stakeholders' needs better than a dumb building. And when I say stakeholders' needs, it's that job's to be done. People are trying to figure out what it is that they want to do, whether or not they're maintaining, operating, building, reducing risk. Everybody's got an agenda, and when you walk through the assessment, you realise how is that smart building going to help some of those stakeholders, fulfil what it is that they need to do in order to be more efficient. So that was fascinating, and you get a good enough level of detail. And I know we've improved it as we've worked on, and now we actually get exposed to the technologies that these buildings are actually using. And that's amazing. So again, you're not going to get that kind of exposure unless you're part of this kind of community. And going back to the peer review model, you create a great shared learning culture. You can be quite vulnerable in those communities and ask a stupid question, and that's the most important thing, because there's no way one person knows everything, every element of a smart building. It's impossible. And I know, walking through your slides with you this morning, you're amazed how big this framework is. So
how big
the peer review element, not only does it help the customer, but it helps you as an assessor. And I don't want people to be put off becoming an assessor because they think they don't know enough, because I didn't know enough. I'm an IT director interested in smart buildings, interested in sustainability, interested in working smarter. Nobody's an expert in every element. And I think you can fast track your own knowledge in your own career, find a place in the market for what I think is, and I reiterate that point, we're at the start of a really interesting journey. Be part of that journey, but be part of that journey supported by a community of, it sounds a ridiculous thing, but like-minded community. Everybody wants to be better or help people create smarter buildings.
Well, and quite a fun community as well. Like, I think the people that are attracted to this process are, they're open and they're trying to learn and they're experimenting and they're curious and vulnerable, I think is a really important piece. I think if you can find yourself as vulnerable and curious, this is a really nice place to be.
Yeah, I don't think everybody has the answers. I think there's lots of people now trying to create smart buildings, but being part of this growing community, and you explain it better than I do, but there's lots of facets to it. But even just the people in that assessor community, never mind your partnerships and strategic partnerships. Like I've been onto this to the collective and asked a question, because I was asked about it when I was helping a developer here, and you can just go on there and ask a question. Anybody know anything about outdoor air quality, or anybody doing anything with waste? Because I'm not seeing anything great in the market.
Yeah.
Where else could you go if you're not part of this type of community to get those answers?
Google.
But then, yeah, but then you've got to sift the good with the bad. It's a bit like an
Exactly.
Amazon review.
Yeah.
Part of this collective, somebody will come on and say, I've used this system and it's pretty good. Or equally, someone will say, steer clear from this. This was awful. And
Yeah.
it isn't, it doesn't do what
Yeah.
it says in the tin. So it's like an Amazon review, isn't it? So it's a safe place
Exactly.
to ask daft questions.
So before I bring Dirk on, so one of the things that's been the most fascinating for me, right, is certifying buildings because you dive into each one of them and
Yeah.
they're all completely different, you know. Can you say something to that and how that has helped?
Yeah, again, it's validation because I have my way of approaching how I would look at a smart building and how I would do the stakeholder engagement piece. And again, I think I've done three, maybe four. But the compelling thing that I think has made them all good at what they do, and I think they've been platinum, the ones I've looked at, is that they share commonalities, and that is around understanding up front what they want to get out from it, and they have dedicated people on that team looking or trying to understand the difference between how they would build this in a dumb existing way and how they would build this as a smart building.
Yeah.
And I think those guys succeed where you've got proper roles and they're trying to do something differently. I like the fact when they write up as part of these assessments, when they say, for the first time, we've put a smart builder consultant on this team, or for the first time, we've used a master system integrator. And that shows that if nothing changes, nothing changes. But
Yeah.
if you make a change to how you approach building or developing, or even a legacy building, then you have to change the way with which you
Yeah.
approach it. And that's been a commonality, I think, certainly in the ones I've seen. And again, just looking at some of the approaches people take and the way how people solve those problems. And I think it's fascinating because the other point I want to make is that I think Picasso said, didn't he? Computers are useless because they can only give you answers. Smart buildings are exactly the same. If you create a really smart building with loads of great data, if you don't ask it difficult questions, it isn't a smart building. You've just
No.
created a building generating lots of data. And that's what I think I've seen come through in the ones I've certified, where they've got that stakeholder engagement early on and they're going to ask the building some difficult questions along the way. Can you help me
Yeah.
with my ESG? Can you help me with my whatever it may be? But you've got to understand what the questions are at the start, or else it's just going to be a slightly more expensive smart
Yeah.
building generating lots of data.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I had another question, but I'll save it for the panel. I think that was a really strong way to end this segment. I'm going to bring Derek on on. I'm going to take you off. Let's see if
No
this
problem.
works. And thanks, Paul. We'll talk to you again in a minute. A little bit of a introduction to Dirk.
Yeah, first of all, thank you that you invited me on the stage. Yeah, I'm actually fine. We are in Sweden. I'm based in Switzerland and working as a building operation manager for infrastructure, technical infrastructure, and really focused on smart building topics, special in regards of condition-based maintenance right now, which is a big topic, and smart security. I'm really looking in details for the company for who I work. And yeah, we are insurance companies, so we look even deeper, even how smart building enables insurance policies as something new, as something interesting and quite challenging the market as well.
And you are unique in how you came in contact with us, right? Because we certified one of our first buildings with you
Yeah,
guys, and you guys went through the I guess it would have been maybe version 2 of the certification,
it was, yeah.
which I would say we've made a little bit of progress since
A
then.
little bit, yeah, we did quite a lot progress. If you go back in the version 2 to now, it's a huge progress. So we started, and I would say we wouldn't get now the same certification what we got in this time. So it got, yeah, it's shaped in a really right way. And it was good collaboration with all. And we really see the people who works with this and understands the topic, they really shape the complete certification program in the
Yeah.
right direction.
And when you say it hits in the right way, what do you mean by that? Why do you think it hits in the right way?
Yeah, it is. Especially what I'm seeing is this commitment of management. What is really got stronger, because what I recognize when I'm in the assessor, if I'm dealing with other companies on the market, is yeah, smart building everybody wants, but yeah, it is something on a side effect. But nobody sees really what the impact is. If you speak about CO2 reduction, which is big topic, or the complete ESG reporting where smart building can enable, you see that the management get interest. Oh, there's something with less invest. Actually, we can get a big outcome, and there's big players on the market which really starts on centralized platforms. And for this, you need smart devices. Smart building is not new, but hadn't have ever this attention as now, because it enables things we haven't had before. And the other thing, we have all total cost of ownership. Big topic. We need to be more cost efficient. And IoT devices really drives in the right direction, or helps us to bring it, maintenance in the right direction with condition-based maintenance. And this is a long way, it's something new, but the market is ready for that. And yeah, it is a mind change for maintenance, for the management, because now you really speak on data, so not anymore on paper theory. Now you have data, and data are used.
Yeah. And you know, that's where it kind of came from in the beginning, was this transformation management, change management. And you can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have an organization to accept it and to use it and to embed it and actually do things with it, it goes nowhere. So that's a fundamental process that we're embedding in the certification. And what has been certification assessorship to you? What has that been like over the last 2 years?
Especially is it for me a big learning as well. So all assessment is a learning, and I'm proud that I can assess buildings which drives to the right direction and helps to make the market more sustainable in a way with smart building, and that we can manage buildings more efficient.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you've been with us as well for 2.5 years, I guess, which is amazing. You've been there pretty much from the beginning. You were part of the first cohort, and you've certified a number of buildings now, maybe three,
Yep.
four. Yeah,
Yeah, around 3 years it was. Yeah, we did really one beginning. If we take our own, it was 4. So yeah, and the interesting is all different buildings, and it's you have from big commercial until smaller, and yeah, and everybody understands smart building a bit different, and this is really interesting to look deeper in.
yeah, absolutely. And what's your hope for the future when you look at, you know, of course there's assessors that are less active. There's assessors that are more active. Um, but I find that the engagement of the assessor community is very high. I think everybody is still very much here, ready to go, willing, which is exciting to me. It says that we're doing things in the right way. But what is your hope for the future?
Yeah, my hope is to motivate more people to jump on the train, let us say like that, because it is still not recognized too much, and especially the assessor program helps, especially people who want to be assessor, to learn on the job, because this is what's happened to me. I learned lots of things with doing assessments, with the exchange with others, with reviewing the documents, and I hope that I believe that the complete smart building IoT market is definitely the future. If we speak about metaverse and everything which comes up IoT, or smart building topics, we need to bring people more up to speed. Otherwise, we don't move or heading in the right direction. And yeah, there's not enough experts on the market. We need actually more. And this assessor program helps to build up a big community and let exchange experts with each other. And I
Yeah,
hope more people will join with different views, different business coming from, because when I remember back, we had people, they have really good experience on light. We have people, they have water. And at the end, we have from everywhere experts. And this was the best thing I ever had as experience wise. Yeah, it helped me a lot to learn from others.
yeah, and I think Paul just said that, right? Nobody is an expert in the total of smart
Exactly.
building. So to have experts in different areas, and that's what we try and do with the assessment too, is we try and create a balanced peer review, right? You know, we know that you're really strong in safety and security, and we have an assessor profile for you that shows where your expertise is. And so when we put assessors on buildings, we look at, you know, how do we give them a good balanced assessorship of their building, and the feedback you guys give, that qualitative information, that gets one for one given to the buildings, right? So the
Yeah.
buildings, if they see that they like what they read with you, where they say, hey, where is this coming from? Hey, let's connect you to the building. Let's have a chat with them and let you explain what your view is on what they've done. And it's just really powerful because every building's different, every strategy is different, every vision's different, and
Definitely.
each of our assessors is different as well, right? So
Yep.
it's a nice platform for everybody to kind of put their information in and
Exactly.
support each other. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to bring Paul on, and we're going to have a chat with the three of us. I think what's so unique is how different our assessors are, right? And
Oh yeah. And
walks
from
of
where
life.
they
You know,
are around the world.
we have assessors in the U.S. and we have one in Mexico and we have one in India and we have one in Saudi Arabia and we have one in UK and Switzerland, and we have quite a reach actually. And I think there's a lot of interest in becoming assessors. We have a group of people who really want to join this community, and we're excited to launch the next cohort, which is going to be going. We're going to start onboarding them now, which is really exciting. But how do you guys feel about the SBC Online and the ecosystem that's starting to emerge there? And what's your hope for how that opens up? I would say maybe Paul.
I think it's I think it's brilliant, and again, it was very much part of your vision 2 and a bit years ago was to get us together, you know, virtually and give us that space to, like Dirk made the really great point before about sharing knowledge and understanding where you can help and add value. But the most important bit being, because like Dirk, you know, I know what I know, I don't know everything. So when I've got that question about waste or condition-based cleaning, I've got a community I can go and ask, which is great. So they're there when you need them, but it's also a great resource to go and keep up to date with, because I know you post a lot of stuff in there. There's case studies, there's research, there's stuff that just keeps you sharp. And like I said before, we're all here for the same reason. We're interested in building, we're interested in technology, we're interested in operational efficiency. And there's a great resource there to go and proactively and reactively be a better assessor. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for that. And I was talking to a partner today, you know, and he asked for a tour of SBC Online and how can I get value out of it and all these things and why does it exist? And for me, it was actually that SBC as a core team, we need to, in some areas, step out of the way, right? Like buildings need to be able to find what they need to be able to find in order to, you know, achieve their goals. And if SBC is always the contact, then we also become the bottleneck, right? Where we can't move forward. So by opening it up and making it transparent and allowing everybody to find each other when they need each other, all of a sudden, I hope, you know, it becomes a networking place where people really can innovate and push the needle forward.
I think it's immediate value as well, Nicholas. As you know, you join this collective and you've got access to that portal. It's immediate value. They're resources that you just didn't have before you joined that community. So it's immediate value.
One of the things that's interesting, right, is we put a post in there that said, if you are looking for people, you know, you can post your jobs here, you know, and the vice versa. I said, if you're looking for jobs, you can post them here, you know, what you're looking for. And that one's interesting, right? Because you have all your partners in your buildings, and then you're saying, hey, if you want a new job, come put it here. So you know, we have to find the balance and the right way to do these things as well, because but in the end, it's about adding value to each other and to the ecosystem. Yeah.
I remember back when we started, Paul, you remember as well, with Miro and Zoom and where we are now. Now we have really the central place where we get data, where we get information to share with each other. I remember back I had a request on a topic in the company. I sent out WhatsApps. So it worked, but now we can put in a chat or reach the people direct, and this is the big change of this platform. So it is for me like a smart building LinkedIn. And yeah, to bring the right people together on the topics with the same interest to move or to bring smart building or shape smart building in a new way. And this is the great place right now.
And we want to inspire people, right? So I'll tell you what's coming, which is even great, right? So you have SBC Online, which is where we can all meet each other. You can look up documentation, you can work on projects together, all these types of things. But we're also going to launch our own metaverse conference center that has different rooms, and you can actually walk around and you can see each other. And our idea is actually to have that open for all of our customers and our partners and buildings to take people there and have meetings. You can take somebody there to have a meeting, and these metaverse rooms are awesome. You go in there, nobody can hear you that's not in the room, and you have a whiteboard and you can do presentations. I would maybe not do my financial, you know, targets for the future, but it's a nice kind of cool place to just walk around and see. And then what we're also doing is we're hoping, we have a big brainstorm about it tomorrow, but we're going to do our first SBC summit, and this will be a physical event because as much as we can achieve online with each other, and we're a global organization, so we don't want people to fly in every time we have a meeting or an event, but we do think we need to build social cohesion with each other. So everybody who's part of the ecosystem is invited to this SBC summit. We already have the venue. It's awesome. But we're going to bring our buildings, and we're going to bring our assessors, and we're going to bring our partners, and we're going to learn from each other. But then we're also just going to have a nice party afterwards so that we can just kind of be together and be social and have fun. Because in the end, that's what this needs to be as well, right? We need to have a good time together. It can't all just be serious, trying to save the world with sustainability and better health and all that stuff. I think we also need to try and have some fun in the mix.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for this. I think it's useful for people to kind of get a feeling of what it would mean to be part of this ecosystem. You get to work with two brilliant gentlemen like this, and there's many more behind them. Do you guys have a closing word that you would like to say? What kind of person do you think should join as assessor? Oh, you're on mute, I think, Paul. We can't hear you. I don't know why that went mute. Can we still hear you, Dirk?
Yeah, I guess you can hear me. Huh?
Okay, we'll start with Dirk.
Okay, no problem. A person should be really
The system didn't like what you were going to say, Paul.
Maybe
it just muted you. That's AI. It's really smart. It cuts you off.
Yeah. No, I guess a person who should join should be really open-minded, like experimental view. Nothing is impossible. Like really try out things and think out of the box. This is for me the most important because things are more future-oriented. Maybe that's why we need to think out of the box, and we should think sometimes or often on a greenfield approach. How I would do, what would be adding value to me as well, or to my business where I'm working. Yeah. And this is what I wish from a person who will join maybe the Assessor program.
Yeah, cool. And what's really interesting is that, I think the smart building certification, it really looks at the global consciousness of today, right? Like how far are we in our understanding of smart buildings? But I think the tapping into the research ecosystem and bringing researchers in, and on the SBC Online, we're launching think tanks. That's about pushing to that future, right? We don't know what it is yet, but we know it's coming. And there are some really exciting things happening. We had our first research conference last week that we hosted, and we brought the practical together with the researchers. And I was just talking to one of our partners this afternoon, and he said it was brilliant. You know, he's already working with 3 or 4 of those researchers to do stuff, and that to me is that's why we're here. That's extremely exciting. Paul, you back on? No,
No.
you're not. I don't know. Sometimes technology. Maybe give it one more. How about now? Nope. No. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for this. It was brilliant. Paul, you had a lot of really great stuff to say. I would have loved to hear that last bit, but we'll have to do it another time. Our next event is going to be the research ecosystem. So we're going to bring 3 researchers on. They're going to talk about how they're going to start embedding their research into our building ecosystem. Because in our view, you know, the buildings are a large living lab where we can really learn a lot from. We need to be doing that.
Yep.
But thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.